Now at 11, a solid foundation for a group of women gone in an instant.
Without this house, we don't really know what we're gonna do.
What's next for those who lived in a sober living house after a fire tore through their home? Plus, a spike in COVID cases hits eastern Oregon. Officials say at least 100 of them are tied to just one recent event. And later,
these buildings are utilized a lot during the week, but in the evenings, they're just kind of there.
churches unite to help solve Portland's homeless crisis.
But we start tonight with breaking news of a deadly shooting in Portland. This is a live look from the scene near Northeast 60th Avenue and Davis. Police have confirmed it's a homicide, but they're not releasing any other details yet. This is just one of 3 shootings in the city tonight. That includes one near MLK in Jessup, where one person was hurt but is expected to survive. We'll keep you updated as soon as we learn more. Now, the shootings are just one of the crimes we're talking about tonight. This robbery, caught on camera, was one of 3 in North Portland that has business owners stressing about safety. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Folgers in Tonight for Laurel. A homicide and 2 armed robberies happened over the course of just a week and a half in the Kenton neighborhood. As Mike Benner found out, frustration there is mounting.
The world-famous Kenton Club, a staple in the Kenton neighborhood. Owner Doreen Waite.
It's been here since 1947, and it's just our total neighborhood dive bar. It's all about locals, it's about music.
As it should be. But over the last 10 days, it's been all about crime. Waite says early last week, 2 men with guns robbed a bartender. This is security footage of the holdup.
We all had a meeting. How are we going to do? What are we going to do to make our staff safer? What are we going to do to make everybody safer? What changes can we put into place?
Waite hadn't even solidified a plan when there was a second armed robbery just this past Tuesday night, and it too was caught on camera.
The guy just came in with a gun and said, "Give me the money. Open the drawers, give me the money."
It would be one thing if these were isolated incidents, but they're not. We know that a day before the first armed holdup, a man was shot and killed at Kenton Park, just blocks from the Kenton Club.
Never, 30 years living in this neighborhood or doing business, have I ever seen Kenton undergo or see what it's doing now.
In the last year, Kenton has dealt with numerous break-ins. Almost every single shop in the neighborhood has been hit multiple times.
Maureen Bachman is the president of the Kenton Business Association and owner of Kenton Antiques. Bachman says the Kenton neighborhood needs help from the city. In addition to more officers on the streets, she says new lighting and cameras would go a long way.
We're doing our best, but frustration is very high in the neighborhood right now. People are really concerned.
Among them, Doreen Waite over at the Kenton Club. She's encouraged her staff to be extra vigilant.
But I don't know what that entails. What does that entail? I mean, we've discussed now getting an armed person at our door, just checking ID of every single person that steps in here. It's expensive. I don't know if we can afford it.
It is worth mentioning that we reached out to some city leaders for comment on the concerns coming out of the Kenton neighborhood. And we heard back from City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. She says she likes the idea of new lighting and cameras, so much so that she says she passed a budget amendment over the summer to increase funding for urgent infrastructure safety projects. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Of course, Kenton is not the only Portland neighborhood dealing with an increase in crime. We told you yesterday how workers in Old Town have been attacked and threatened. Today, the city voted to renew a contract and security with a security and cleanup company focused on downtown safety. But their work has been controversial. Catherine Cook explains.
You see the logos and maybe the crews out working. But what does Downtown Portland Clean and Safe do? Last year, they collected 73,000 bags of trash, picked up 47,000 needles, and removed 40,000 graffiti tags downtown. They also provided basic public safety services with armed security guards. On Wednesday, Portland City Council voted to renew its security and sanitation contract with Downtown Portland Clean and Safe for 5 more years at about $25 million.
If we want to recover, frankly, we have to address this basic service gap that Portland faces right now. And Clean and Safe is one strategy for doing that.
Commissioner Mingus Mapps was one of City Council's 3 yes votes. He hopes it brings downtown one step closer to economic recovery.
But the reason now isn't because of COVID. People are avoiding Portland at this point because it is perceived to be a dirty city and a dangerous city. That's why it is incredibly important that we support programs like Clean and Safe.
The only commissioner to vote no on the 5-year contract was Joanne Hardesty. She proposed a 1-year contract.
There's this false image that somehow if we just pick up garbage and remove graffiti, then downtown is going to look like it did 3 years ago.
Hardesty says her main concern with Clean and Safe isn't the cleanup part, but rather that it's part of an enhanced service district. Those are areas that use both public and private funding to maintain. She's worried about lack of oversight regarding ESDs and believes the city needs a policy standardizing the services they can provide. She also questions their priorities.
We're going to clean up downtown, but I don't know if you've noticed, there's not a corner of the city of Portland that doesn't have garbage. So clearly garbage cleanup is a symptom of a bigger problem. And a bigger problem is our neglect of people on the economic edge.
I don't think that we have to do all or nothing. And I tell you, it's unacceptable to me to do nothing.
But with that, Maps says he recognizes the importance of debating enhanced service districts and how future city policies could and should shape them.
We've built some flexibility into this contract so that when the council decides what the future of enhanced service districts look like, we can come back and revise that contract.
I'm going to hold my colleagues to their word. They want to do better. I'm going to hold them to that. I hope they do.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
We're expecting to find out tomorrow where some of Portland's new city-sanctioned homeless camps will be located. The so-called Safe Rest Villages are one of the new solutions to solve the crisis in the city. At the same time, we found out some churches are offering their help as well. They'll be opening their doors as shelters. We met pastors Jeremy Richards, David Brink, and Daniel Rose at Rose's Church, Community of Christ in Northeast Portland. They represent 3 of 9 churches that have signed on to help. The goal, to get 13 churches on board and start sheltering families next spring.
These buildings are utilized a lot during the week, but in the evenings, they're just kind of there.
This is a way that we can say, like, let's partner with you, to our neighbors, let's partner with the city, and let's do good together.
As for the Safe Rest Villages, Housing Commissioner Dan Ryan told KGW the villages are on track to open by 2022. In McMinnville, a fire destroyed a clean and sober transitional house. Tonight, the 7 women and 5 children who lived there are without a home. A neighbor shared this video of Tuesday night's fire with KGW. McMinnville Fire says one person was home at the time and was able to safely get out. The Oxford House has rented this home for the last 15 years. Cassandra Wagner has been living at the house for the last 6 months with her 3 kids.
I have been going through waves of shock. Last night I was emotionless, and this morning I just wanted to cry, and now seeing it, it's just it's heartbreaking. Everybody that lived here, we were all a family, and now what's going to happen to all of us?
The Red Cross has put the women and children up in hotel rooms. Officials with Oxford House say they hope to have more permanent solutions within 2 weeks. Now to Eastern Oregon, where they're experiencing a surge in COVID cases, and many have been traced back to the Pendleton Roundup. Pat Doris reports.
Blue Mountain Community College in Pendleton holds about 1,200 students and 250 faculty and staff. Because of COVID-19, they are now all working and learning from home. An employee tested positive for COVID Tuesday.
This employee had been in a number of different buildings, interacted with a number of different folks, and as we did the tracing back out, the contact tracing out, we quickly discovered that there could be a possibility of a number of folks that had some limited exposure to this person.
Blue Mountain Community College has several campuses in Oregon. The quarantine only affects the Pendleton operation. It comes at a time when Umatilla County is awash in COVID virus, with cases nearing record highs 2 weeks after the huge rodeo and gathering of the Pendleton Roundup. School President Mark Browning and his wife were at the Roundup.
My wife and I both chose to wear masks, and especially during the first couple of days when we were at Happy Canyon at the bull riding, I felt like people were very respectful. There wasn't a lot of mask wearing, that's for sure.
That's what I've heard, maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Umatilla County's public health officer, Dr. John Hitzman, was there too as a volunteer in the medical tent.
The mask usage probably fluctuated between, maybe 10 to 20%. It wasn't zero. There were quite a few people, but certainly nowhere near a majority.
The roundup ran from September 15th through the 18th. Dr. Hitzman said the week after, the county COVID case number hit 313. The following week, it jumped to 505 cases. This week, it's still growing. But Tuesday, the county had 167 cases, more than any other county in Oregon for that one day. Dr. Hitzman said at least 100 COVID cases have been tied to the roundup.
Obviously, the public health director and myself had numerous meetings with the Roundup and Happy Canyon Executive Committee. And basically, the things that they said they were going to do just were not stringently enforced, which, you're in a difficult position.
He said many rodeo fans don't like masks or vaccines or government mandates. Dr. Hitzman believes some ignore the advice of health professionals and ended up helping to spread the virus.
But we've told people if you feel sick or you're not feeling well, stay home. And that clearly did not happen. People who were not feeling well clearly came to the rodeo and spread the virus.
Pat Doris, KGW News.